What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. This is part 2 of the Monarch 1448. Now, I know it's been 3 months since the first video of this build dropped, and I am sorry it took so long to do this project, but the metalwork is something simple. We knocked this out in a week, like 5 days at the shop. Me and Austin killed this thing. The layout is sick. I did take all the hatches out. I sent them off to the powder coaters. You can see they're all wrapped up in saran wrap. They are all powder coated white. They look dope. I can't wait to finish this thing up. It's been a minute, man. It's hard because I get busy at the shop, and doing all of the stuff besides metalwork, it takes a lot of time. And we have an entire layout of stuff that's going in as well. I'm going to show you all the stuff that's going in this. It's literally a gigantic set of boxes. It's got a lot of stuff going in here. All the batteries, trolling motors, electronics. It's insane. It's a humongous pile of stuff, and we're getting ready to start this thing right now because I got to wrap this up within the next week or two. So I got my work cut out for me, guys, but this is what I do. I'm the tin can killer, and I am going to tear this thing apart and put it back together, and it's going to be sick. Now, obviously, last episode, if you guys have not seen part 1 of this build, please go watch it because you're going to have no idea where we're at. You're not going to understand what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and what we've got already done. Go watch it. There's a video link right up here in the corner. Click on that. It's going to be a build series. So if you watch this one first, it will put you right back into where you are at right now. Anyways, guys, so this build was pretty cool. Me and Austin built this about 3 months ago. The customer took this hole down to nothing. He stripped it out. This is the boat that went to David Haas, the guy that built the boat for Mike Iaconelli, and he literally kept this boat for a year and didn't touch it. And now I feel bad because it took me a week to build it to where it's at, and I've had it for 3 months. But I had a lot going on. I moved during that time, and I finally got my shop set up, and I got his boat in here. And we're gonna knock this thing out. He's gonna have this boat within the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's gonna be fishing out in Jersey, catching some fish in this rig. He's got everything for it. He's got all the turf, all the electronics, everything ready to go for it. I just gotta figure out where I'm gonna put it all and how I'm gonna install it into the boat. I gotta paint this thing. Look at it, it's bare hull. He stripped this thing down to the bare aluminum with some aluminum stripper, and the stuff he used is potent. He did give me the rest of it. He got like a gallon jug of it, and he only used like maybe the neck out of the gallon. It was purple. I'll find it. I'll show it to you guys before the end of this video. But I used that on some other aluminum products that I had at the shop, and let me tell you, this stuff is legit. It stripped it down to the bare aluminum. Now, obviously, if you strip it down like that, you got to coat it with something. So we got to paint it, because what's going to happen if he takes this thing out in the river in Jersey, it's going to end up getting corroded and it's going to oxidize, and he's going to have a whole bunch of issues with it. It looks cool being silver, but it's not going to be silver. Obviously, the hatches are white. I got the turf over there. I'm going to show you guys the turf in just a second. I don't know what color to paint the outside of this boat. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I would like to paint it something different. Every boat that I do is either black or blue or red. I've done like a gunmetal, but I've never had a white boat. Maybe this is the white boat. I don't know. Jersey water, white boat might not work out too well. I'm trying to figure this out because I need to paint this thing. Before I paint it, I'm going to get all the stuff out that's going in here. That way I make sure that I cross off all the T's and dot all the I's before I paint it, because I might need to add something in, you know, welding wise or fabrication wise. Now, one thing he did tell me after he watched the first video was that now he wants to have a cooler of some sort incorporated into the boat. Originally, he didn't want a live well, wasn't interested in a cooler. The live well is basically a cooler. We could have done it that way and it would have been perfectly set up. We could have had a live well right here. We could have had electrical panel right there. This could have been used as a cooler, but now the floor and everything's finished off in there. I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way because I want him to be happy. I'd like to incorporate some type of cooler in here. I might just throw like a cooler into one of these side panels in the back here, because we did dig all the foam out of there and those are just raw. They're wide open inside of there. So I could probably drop a box in there. I might do that. I got to figure it out though, because he's got 4 lithium batteries, I think. And the way this back bench is set up, he's got a big hatch here, but he's talking about getting a gasoline outboard. He's got to have a tank in there for that outboard. So I don't think he's gonna be able to fit more than 2 batteries in this back center compartment. We got a port and starboard hatch where we could put 2 more batteries. We could house all the batteries in there. But if we do that, then we can't put a cooler in here. I mean, ideally, I would put the live well here. I don't know. I might just take that floor out of there and put the live wall in there. Either way, this project has got to get wrapped up in a short amount of time, and you guys are going to watch me do it. I'm going to turn this camera around and show you what we got, what I'm thinking I'm going to do. You guys know how this works. Let's get right into it. All right, so let's do it. Here it is. This is the rig. It's a 1448. Obviously, we got all these hatches powder coated. I mean, I'm pretty hyped about them being white. They look dope. You got to take all this saran wrap off here, but I don't want to take it off until I'm ready to install them permanently because I don't want them to get dirty. Now, the way this thing is laid out, originally, I was thinking about putting a battery in here, and you can see inside of here, it's just wide open. I still got to put a floor in there. Same thing on the opposite side, and then this center hatch right here, this one's pretty cool. So you have a seat base in here, and this one is going to be on dual gas pistons. Inside of here, he's got a pretty good amount of space, but if we put 2 batteries in there, and then he has a gas tank in there, well, that's pretty much going to fill this thing up. So if we do that, which I would like to do, because it would keep all of his weight evenly distributed with 1, 2, 3, 4 batteries right in a row right here, and I think being here versus being farther back is actually going to be an ideal spot for them. Plus, they're lithium batteries, so they're pretty light. We could put 2 batteries up here and use one of these for a cooler, but I don't know. I'm just really digging the fact of maybe just building him a live well, and then he can use it for a cooler, and then if he wants to catch fish and throw them in there, and then it's already set up. This is how I set most of the boats up anyways. Live well electrical panel. I mean, that makes the most sense to me. This rod locker over here, this thing is dope. I mean, for a 14-foot boat, we got all the flooring in there already figured out. It's not completely attached up along this side wall right here because I need to run some wires back here for his trolling motor. And this rod locker, it's big. This rod locker runs well up into here. It's 8 foot 2 inches long, so you can fit some decent sized rods inside of here. And in front of this, he still has a humongous front deck. Now we're gonna put a seat base in here, and we got one in the back already. But this is a big area up here for him to stand up here and fish. This is where he's going to spend probably 99% of his time when he's out on the water. That's where I spend my time. So I want to make this like the captain's area. It's got to be sick. Now, this little front, I don't even know what this is. This is like a support. This is trash. God knows. I forgot how much JB Weld this thing has on it. It's got a bunch of it in here, but we got to do this. So we're going to rip all this stuff out of here. He does have a brand new Garmin Force trolling motor that's going in here. I'm not sure if I want to mount it here and have it on the side. It might be ideal because he's got room for it to mount here and it won't be in the way of any hatches or anything. But honestly, I'd really like to have all of my boat builds to where the trolling motor mounts here on the side and it kicks off and deploys on this side right here. That will allow the boat to steer a lot better. Having the trolling motor centered, in my opinion, is a whole lot better option. Plus, I think it just looks a whole lot cooler. So we're going to play around with that option. But if I do that, regardless, I got to build some type of a trolling motor mount here or here, going back if I mount it on the side. Either way, I think it'll be all right. It's only a 14-foot boat. But that is one thing I got to figure out. Then we got to do a graph bridge because he does have a Garmin 106 Ultra 2, which is pretty cool. Because apparently the 2 is Bluetooth and it can talk to the trolling motor without having wires connected to them, and you don't have to hook up a transducer. It can Bluetooth to the transducer, and you can see it right there on the screen. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about that because I think that's pretty dope, and I've never used one before. So we're going to figure that out. But he does have a ton of stuff, guys. Let me show you the stuff over here. Yeah, that's the Yenny Tinny. We're working on that thing, but basically everything in this box, there's his trolling motor on the bottom. These bags, there's a little butt seat he's got going in here. He's got batteries, all kinds of stuff, with the exception of this little airsoft gun that's my son's. All of these boxes belong to him. So he's got a battery charger and tender here, and he's got batteries, another graph, a graph. He's got lots of stuff going into this build. I mean, this stuff is literally like 6 foot long and it's 3 foot tall. Got a lot of stuff. He's got lights and stuff in there. Inside of here, he's got all the fittings for the plumbing for his bilge pump and all his electrical. He's got switch panels and stuff. It's a lot of stuff, guys. We got to get all this stuff from here over into here, and that's what we're about to figure out. I'm going to go through some of those boxes. I'm going to get them torn open and figure out what's inside of there, where I'm going to put it, and then I'm going to figure out the layout for this thing. And before I actually install anything permanently, we're going to take this thing outside and we're going to wipe it down and paint the entire hull. Let's get back to work. All right, so check it out. That's what we got. And we got 3 of these 12-volt batteries right here. The large ones, these are the 100 amp hours. And we have one smaller 50 amp hour. Now, I'm assuming that the 300 amp hours is what he wants to run the Garmin trolling motor off of, and that 50 amp is gonna run everything else. Now, we have 2 graphs here. We've got the Garmin Ultra 2 106, and we've got the original 106 on the bottom. So it's crazy that 2 is in a lot smaller box, but I want to open that thing up and read about it and see how it installs. He's got a light over here. Pretty cool looking little spotlight. Black oak, and he's got a ton of these little like rocker panel lights. I mean, these are all like Jeep parts or something. And then he's got Zuma. I don't know. Warm white. This is a pain in the ass because every single one of these lights has to have a wire coming out of it and be attached to the next light, to the next light, to the next. They got to be daisy chained together. We should just do strip rail lights, and it's a whole lot easier. You hook up one connection and all the lights are connected together. I really don't even want to use this stuff, but I know that he probably paid a lot of money for these. I mean, I don't know. They look cool if you're putting them in a Jeep, but not really made for a boat. It's got a butt seat, and this is pretty neat. Never seen this before. The Low Pro. It's a little bilge pump right here. Pretty neat because it does sit pretty low, but I mean, if you look at the pickup for it, it's all the way up here in the middle. So reality, it's not much different than having a regular pump that sits up. I don't know. It's got 3 battery trays. We're gonna see if we can fit these in there. I'm thinking honestly what I might just end up doing is building a pan that holds all 3 batteries side by side, because since one of these batteries is smaller, I'm gonna see if they'll all 3 fit up inside of here, and then maybe put the 4th one, I don't know, somewhere else, but we're gonna see if that'll work for that. And then we've got Noco. Got a charger over there. He's got some carpet for the bunks. I'm not gonna mess with that. He can do that. And over here we've got a box that I was surprised. I forgot about this. He did tell me that he had this, and this is, that was not in the box, by the way. This is Tiny Boat Nation junk right here. Look at this. This graph bridge. Now, this thing is heavy as hell. My God, it's got some ugly freaking welds, and those gussets are ginormous. And it doesn't even have holes to mount the graph on. I mean, I'm not sure what these holes are for, but they're humongous. I mean, I don't know. This thing is not going in the boat. I can tell you that much. This is my graph bridge right here. Now this is the graph bridge. That thing's slick. Cut out the bass. And the way this works, it's got a universal hole pattern in it. So you don't have to worry about drilling holes through something that's already powder coated. Kind of defeats the purpose of powder coating it if you're gonna have to drill holes to it. So let's see. Let's put this up here so you can get into perspective the difference in the two. This thing won't even stand up. Well, there you go. This one is so low. I mean, if you're gonna put a graph here, I don't even know if you're gonna have room over the foot pedal for it. And then this thing has to stick back so far. I mean, let me just put this up here just to see what this thing looks like. I've never seen one of these in person, but oh my God, that's retarded looking. I guess if you like the thing, but not really my cup of tea, guys. The funny thing is that Tiny Boat Nation, they never had any type of graph bridges, especially not a dual graph bridge, until I did the King Neptune build. And I put one on there, and I'm not saying they copied me, but then they started selling them. That looks a whole lot cooler to me. I mean, personally, I think that's sick. The graphs sit up here perfectly. It's a lot more low profile and sleek looking. I like the cutout of the bass. I'm getting some new ones of these made. Actually, they're about to drop with the Trick 10's logo in them. But the way this works, this actually sits about like that. That way this front graph sticks off here. And then you have a top graph. Obviously, it sits up. And then they both kick at an angle and fit perfectly. And it's a little bit taller. I mean, I like it being a little bit taller. Most of the guys asked me to even make them taller than that. But I don't know. I like it. So this is the graph bridge that we're going to put in here, and since I'm going to give him that one, I guess I get to destroy this one. I might do that in a video later. He also has this box over here. Basically just has a bunch of wire loom and hoses. This hose, we can use that for the bilge pump. Now he's got a 12 gang rocker panel switch in here. That's not going to fit into the electrical panel hatch that we have made. The hell? I guess this is some 10 gauge solid wire, literally stuff that you would wire a house with. Yeah, that's not going to work either. We're going to have to get some marine wire for this. Trailer's, we can use this though, fuse panel. We're going to need that. Once again, this is stuff for your house. And, oh, he's even got a rivet gun in here. Oh, rivet gun. But majority of the rest of the stuff in here, we're probably not even going to use. I guess he just bought this because he might have been planning on doing this himself, or he thought it would be good. But what is this wire? This is marine wire right here. 10 gauge. We might be able to use this for the grass. So he's got another white one that has already been used. There's a little bit left though. We might be able to use that too. But reality, we're probably not going to use much of that. We might use some of these though. It does have some heat shrink connections in there. So, all right, but we got everything out. Now I need to figure out where I'm going to put all those batteries. I'm going to mess with that in just a second, but I do need to install this trolling motor. And since he has the spotlight that he wants to use, I'm leaning more towards putting the trolling motor on the side over here. That way I can mount his big spotlight up there in the front. I mean, the thing is kind of cool looking. Might as well put that up there for him. Put it right in the middle. Put his trolling motor on the side. That'll work out good. So I need to build a bracket for that. So I'm going to try to find some aluminum and cut it to fit this. And I'm going to try to figure out how those batteries sit in there. And we'll get this thing going. Let's get back to work. All right, so look, I did some figuring off camera. I'm going to show you what I came up with. I got a good plan for this, and I feel confident in it. Now, these 300 amp hour batteries, these are 7 inches by 13 inches. And inside of this back area, we have about 27 inches. It's sitting on that lip right there. It's about 27 inches. Well, if we put them with the 13 inches going this direction, then we need 21 inches. So I'm going to make a pan that I can drop in here. And then it'll hold all 3 batteries right here for the trolling motor. If we only come out 13 inches from this face right here, then we still have a lot of room. He's got almost 30 inches of space. So he's still going to have about 17 inches on this side over here. And that'll be enough room for a gas tank. Now I'm going to put a cooler on this side right here. Now I was thinking about building a live well up there, but it's not going to work. We're going to put a cooler here. The reason I'm not going to put a live well and stuff in here is because the hatch that I made for the live well, it already has these attachments on it for the gas pistons, and it's impossible for me to build a live well the way I want to with those attachments on there. So this is already set up. It's going to be sweet. We're going to have a pan over here that I was going to originally use for his electrical panel hatch. I might even throw his fuse panel in here still, but I'm going to put his switch panel up on the side. He's got a big 12 gang switch panel that won't fit inside of this recessed drop-in pan, but it will fit on the side right here, and that's fine. I'm gonna put it right there where it's exposed, easy accessible. Fuse panels will be inside here, and right underneath the fuse panel, we're gonna enclose that 50 amp hour battery right there. And that's gonna work out good. He can remove that pan and he can get to the battery if he needs to. He's still gonna have storage here, big storage here, cooler on that side. He's gonna have all this open for storage, and then he's still gonna have the rod locker. The rod locker is 8 foot and some change, so he's got a big rod locker. Now this trolling motor, since he has that LED light we're gonna put up here, we're gonna remove this. This thing's chinky and it's ugly, so we're gonna cut this off. I'm gonna make him a new one. It comes back a little bit farther and probably comes down to the floor. Maybe even enclose this. I don't know, but we're gonna throw a cup holder up here, maybe a phone charger, something like that. A couple of LED lights in it. But this trolling motor is sick. Now the Garmin trolling motor, in my opinion, this is the best trolling motor that money can buy. So if you're gonna buy a trolling motor and you really want to have the best, then here it is. It's expensive, but it's well worth it. I mean, it's top of the line. I have one on my boat and I cannot think of even going back with anything else after using this thing. But I'm gonna put this thing on the side. I think it's the best possible scenario considering we're gonna put, you know, big spotlight up here. It's gonna be fine over here. This thing is strong enough to probably pull this boat close to 5 or 6 miles an hour. So I'm gonna put it on the side and it's gonna come over not quite as far as this sheet is sitting on. We're gonna snug it in up here. So we're gonna take about 2 inches off of that. And basically that's gonna work out good because when it is stowed and deployed, it's gonna be up on the side where there's no hatch. So the stowed position has plenty of room. Put it on this side and it's still right here. You got plenty of room up in the front deck. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna cut this thing back obviously across here and form fit it to the side of the hull. I'm gonna weld it solid across here. I'm gonna have another piece that's welded and comes down to the floor and turns back, shoot some rivets through there, and that's gonna finish this thing off. Before I install this, one thing I always tell you guys, you need to cut some holes in here. So we're gonna cut some holes up underneath here with a hole saw. That way we don't have to worry about having any exposed wires. All of our wires for the trolling motor gonna run down underneath this mount, through that hole, back to the back bench. I gotta order some wire because the wire he has is obviously for working on your house. It's not really marine wire. I'm gonna get some wires for this on the way. I'm gonna go ahead and make this mount. I'm gonna put a transducer puck mount on the back of the transom. And I think that's gonna finish up everything I have to do as far as the hull. Then we're gonna be able to get this thing painted. Hopefully I get to finish this up tonight. So tomorrow, this thing will look totally different and have a paint job on it. Let's get back to work. All right, so check it out. Normally we don't do this with the trolling motor. We put them up here on an angle, but this is what we're doing with this boat. It's gonna be fine. Did put my hole in here. It's a 2.5 inch hole. I hit this with the straight angle grinder with the deburn tool on it. Make sure it's not sharp because we're gonna fish our wires through here. Now there's a wall right here where these rivets are at. So I'm gonna have to come back through the foot pedal tray and get inside of there with another hole saw and drill a hole through there. That way we have a clear path to fish wires through here. Now normally if I was at the shop, I would just bend this, but I didn't have a big enough piece to make this all in one piece here at home. And I really want to get this done now because I'm going to pull this boat outside and paint it hopefully today. So that's going to sit up there just like that. Solid weld down the side. And then this piece is our face piece right here. It's going to go on here like that. Well, you get the picture. It's going to be like that. So it's going to be fine. I'm going to weld that thing solid. I'm going to come back and shoot some rivets through that flange into the deck. And then we're going to figure out how the trolling motor is going to sit, make sure it's just right before I make it permanent. I'm going to tack it all up. And then once I get done with that, I'm going to cut this piece off and I'm going to get a piece to remake this and make it come back a little bit farther and that way I got room to get up here and mount his light bar, and I might throw a cup holder or something in here. I don't know, I was thinking about maybe just connecting this all the way across too, but I'm at least gonna take this off because this thing is god awful ugly, and I don't even feel like grinding all that stuff off it. So I'm just gonna run a cutting blade right down there, remove this thing, and we'll figure out how we're gonna fix that up. Put you guys back in the time lapse. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got the thing outside. Obviously, had my kids help me flip it over, power washed it. As soon as I started pressure washing it, I could see holes in the thing. I mean, look at that. Plain as day. It's just cheap, man. It's old as hell, and it's thin, riveted hole. I hate these riveted boats. I'm just gonna start telling people no, because it looks bad for me when I do a complete build and it looks like a sweet ass build, and then you take it out the first time you go out with your brand new build, and the son of a bitch leaks. It's like, I'm not in the business of doing this. So this is gonna be one of the last riveted boats I ever do. And look at this. Wow, what a beautiful thing. Crack all the way up the bow right here. You couldn't see it because the roller was right here. So yeah, this boat it's got a lot of issues, man. I mean, this is not the boat that you want to build out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on, but at this point, this one has to be finished. So now I got to look this thing over with a fine tooth comb, and this is just extra stuff. Like, you get a new welded hull, I don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about this. But now I've got to go over every inch of this boat, cleaning it, searching over it very good, make sure there's no holes. And if there are, I got to repair them. I'm ready to paint. I'm running out of daylight, and I'm probably not gonna be able to get this thing painted today, which really sucks because now it's sitting outside on the ground. I need to paint it. I need to flip it over, put it back on the trailer and pull it inside, or else it's gonna sit here until I get to paint it, and it's gonna block up my son's basketball hoop, and it's gonna be out in the weather. It's already cleaned up, but we gotta repair it first. So I'm gonna get the welder out here. I'm gonna start doing what I can repairing this stuff. You can see somebody's gonna come back and put some type of an epoxy on here, and that's where the bunks were at. Now, I don't know, man. I'm really not too happy with this build project right now, but I gotta get it done. Let's get the welder out here. Let's get back to work. All right, so she's painted. She white, boys. Man, I just do not like painting. I mean, I'm pretty decent at it. I had a lot of practice. We paint a lot of stuff at work, just rattle can, but I had a couple runs back here. I mean, it's hard to see because where it's at right now, you can see that I got some sunlight coming through the trees, so it's kind of hard, but I mean, for the most part, it looks really good. I mean, the coat of paint that's on it is pretty thick. I put it on as thick as I could. It's almost dry. I'm gonna get my sons to come back out here in a little bit and we'll flip this thing over. I have to put some type of a sheet or something down so I don't tear it up too bad. It's gonna get a little messed up, but that was our initial bottom coat. Now, in case anybody's wondering, 4 cans of paint, about $7 a piece. So 28 bucks. It took me an hour and some change, about an hour and 20 minutes maybe, to get to the stage I'm at now. So you can paint your boat, guys. It's not that hard. I mean, 30 bucks and a little over an hour. Yeah, you ain't gotta pay thousands of dollars for a paint job. It's not perfect, but it's gonna do what we need it to. Once we flip it over and put it back on the trailer, obviously I'm probably gonna come back and do some touch-ups on the sides. I'm gonna paint the inside, all that good jazz, but I just wanna get this bottom finished up, painted, repair the spots that I can see, and hopefully nothing else in here is gonna leak. Let this dry a little bit longer and we'll get it back on the trailer. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got the boat back in the garage. Now, obviously, this is not a professional paint job, but it does look pretty good. Now, this is a white semi-gloss. I didn't want to go with the gloss because I think the semi-gloss still is a little bit easier to paint over and it'll look good. I didn't want it to be too glossy because I feel like that gloss shows a lot of imperfections. And obviously, this thing's old. It's got a lot of imperfections in it. I did fix 4 spots up underneath the bottom of the hull, and then I came back and welded this seam up here. I mean, it looks good, but he's got some issues with this boat and trailer that need to be addressed. You can see that the roller is way up here. This roller needs to hit right on top of that winch eye. So I'm gonna have to try to adjust this, maybe even bring his bunks up. I don't know, we're gonna figure that out later. But I wanted to leave this boat far enough back off of here so I can come back with a second coat. Now the second coat I'm probably gonna do in the garage. And I can paint all up under this face right here. I can paint down these sides and we're gonna get this thing looking pretty good. I'm gonna paint inside of the boat tonight. I wanna get this done. Now I put the trolling motor mount up here. I got this bow mount piece up here on the bow. This thing is gonna be cool because he's got an LED light up here and probably gonna incorporate some LEDs and stuff here. I don't know, but I gotta get that painted. Everything up inside of here, I wanna get painted. I wanna paint all this the same white that I painted on the outside of the hull. Probably paint inside of some of these compartments, and that will allow me to get ready for the next stage of this build. Now I am gonna drop a cooler inside of here. I'm gonna drop this attachment here and get some measurements off of that. I'm gonna put it on this side because I feel like he's gonna be sitting on that side while he's driving with the outboard, and this thing's full. Well, it's probably about 20 gallons. I mean, he's looking at a decent amount of weight. So the weight distribution from a person and this being full of ice and water, and then he's still got the Garmin trolling motors going on this side. I think that's his best option. And on that side over there, I'm just gonna sheet that in. That's gonna be for storage. And I got 3 lithium batteries going in here. These are 100 amp hours. That one up there underneath that is gonna be a 50 amp hour. And that's basically gonna power all the rest of the electronics in the build. So tonight I'm going to try to get That thing's sheeted. I'm gonna drop this hatch in here, take some measurements for the bin that's going in here for his cooler. I'm gonna build that at the shop tomorrow. It'll be a lot easier for me. I can make it out of, you know, one piece for the body and insert an end and an end. And that will allow me to just foam this thing in with some sheet foam, drop it in, attach it with the hatch. I'm gonna sheet that tonight and then get the rest of this painting in here. This build is turning into a lot more than I bargained for, but it's gotta be right. I know this video is getting long. It's probably gonna be the longest video I've ever dropped on YouTube. And it's probably gonna be over an hour. So I hope you guys are hanging out and still watching because it's about to get interesting. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got first coat of paint on the entire boat yesterday, outside and inside. And as you just saw, I went ahead and put some foam underneath here and this floor piece in here. And I put this piece up here because the way I plan on doing this is making one piece for this, and I'll bend the lip back on that like 1.5 inches. And then with this angle and the lip on here, that'll allow me to put a piece in here and rivet that in. But I'm tired, guys. It's been a long weekend. It's only Monday. Worked all weekend though. I made a mistake. This is supposed to be over there. I want to put the cooler on this side. I didn't have a chance to make the cooler today. I'm going to make that tomorrow, and it's not really the end of the world. It's only got 5 rivets in it. It's got 1, 2, 3, and then there's 2 in there. So I'm just going to drill those out. I'll move these pieces over to the other side, and then I'm going to put the cooler in here tomorrow. But I really want to start installing some of this electrical stuff and getting the electrical in here. So I need to put a second coat of paint on the boat. It doesn't look bad, but it does obviously need a second coat of paint. This thing's got some dents and dings in it, but there's some spots on it that you can kind of see them in the video, but it definitely needs a second coat of paint. You can see it's got like lines in it. It's kind of a little bit like darker line right there. That's just, it didn't get a good coverage on it. It's only 1 coat. I didn't want to go overboard because I'm gonna end up with a bunch of runs, but I gotta paint this thing. You can see it pretty good right there. It's like a little misty paint job. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint this thing in here because it's dark outside already. I gotta paint this thing tonight though, because I gotta get the paint finished up. And in order to paint the side right here, I'm gonna have to remove this. So I'm gonna take these nuts off and drop these U-bolts. That'll allow me to drop this and just let it hang on the side. I mean, I guess I'm gonna throw something over this trailer. Not really gonna hurt this trailer if it gets a little bit of paint on it. It probably would help it, honestly. This thing looks like crap, but I'll probably throw a little piece of cardboard over that. But I gotta paint this thing. I'm pull it out a little bit, paint the back, and paint these sides. Both sides, gotta get it done. I'm gonna do one entire paint job on the sides, both sides, outside and the inside rails, and especially up around this bow, because tomorrow I'd like to start putting some electronics in here. I want to get this trolling motor up here and mounted. I want to run his LED light up here and just figuring out where all this stuff's going to be at so I can start putting this boat back together. Now, it's a lot easier to run all the wires, obviously, when it's wide open like this. And tomorrow, my trolling motor wire is supposed to be here. I'm going to run that all the way down this side. Now, I did drill some holes in here with a hole saw, and that's basically so I can pass wires back into here. And I'm probably going to put another hole here. That way I can just turn this corner sharp with my wires because the batteries are going to be right there. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Put some grommets in there, but I can do that tomorrow. Tonight, though, paint is important because paint takes time to dry. And I got to get this thing painted. I'm going to put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm going to take these little bunk rails off. I'm going to get painting. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got it painted. Painting in the garage, definitely not fun, but it looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to get some type of setup in here with some type of like drop down cloths or something to protect all my stuff so I don't get overspray like that all over it. But it wasn't too bad, and it actually turned out pretty damn good, I think. So I did get all my stuff that I need to install, a wire and stuff. So this is my fuse panel. That's for the trolling motor. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get the wire ram for the trolling motor, put the battery tray in there, and I'm going to get this trolling motor up here put together and installed. That's pretty involved. If you haven't put together one of those Garmin Force trolling motors, you're not just going to do it in 15 minutes. It's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, you can see that obviously it's in pieces, you know. It's a little bit of a learning curve the first time you do it. It's probably gonna take me about 30 minutes, maybe 45 by the time I drill it and get it all staged up and bolted in, because it's a little bit to it, but I'm gonna get that going. So I'm gonna put you guys back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got the trolling motor hooked up, installed. I've probably done a couple dozen of these. Keep in mind, this is a $4,000 trolling motor. It's cream of the crop. It's pretty simple to install. And the first go around takes a little bit of figuring and reading the instructions, but it comes with these little clips right here. Mount those up wherever you need to. And then I fished it down this side right here. It's got the holes in the trolling motor, ran both the power cable and the transducer cable through here. And it's got these little stainless brackets. You just put those in with an Allen key. I put one here and one in the back. Now it has another connection here for one, and you got to leave a loop in this. So when you bring it back, install it here. You can hook this up to a plug if you got a plug up here to plug it in. What we're going to do is we're actually going to loop this back, and I'm going to put a zip tie in here to hold this. We're going to run it through the hole in there, and the power cable up the side and the transducer cable up into the foot pedal tray to come up into the graph bridge where the graph's going to be at. But I got myself with this thing, man. It's crazy. This bracket right here, this thing is super sharp, especially on this little point right here. That's where I hit my finger. I was installing the gas piston when I had it open. I don't know if you can see it in the hyperlapse video. It's probably kind of hard to see, but I literally just ran my hand against it. It slipped and banged it and hit it right there on the back side. Pretty thin skin right there anyways, but man, that thing opened up and just started pissing blood all over the place, and then it just stopped instantly. I put a band-aid on it. It's starting to leak through a little bit, but yeah, be careful, because these metal pieces right here, I mean, even when it's like this deployed, if you fall into this thing, super sharp right here. But now that we got this thing mounted up here, I'm getting ready to hook up the power cable, which is pretty simple. I already got my power cable pulled up here. I'm going to take and cut these back, strip them, Same thing with this right here. You got 2 wires hooked into each. That's the way they run these things. So I'm going to strip both these down, connect them together, and put some heat shrink connectors on there with this power cable right here. Now this is a 7 gauge. Actually, this is an 8 gauge. 8 gauge wire, more than enough to hold this trolling motor. Hook this thing up, and I already got it ran back into the back compartment. I'm going to hook those up to the battery in a second. But then I got to get up inside of here, and I might have to drill a hole in through this sidewall. There's a sidewall right here where these rivets are at. It's like a panel, and there's foam inside of here. So I got to run that transducer cable down through here and get it up through there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Hook up the power on the transducer cable, and then I'm going to start running the wires up here for his LED light, for his nav lights, and for his spotlight. It's got a big spotlight that's going up here. So I'm going to get this stuff going, guys. Put y'all back on the hyperlapse. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got the lights set up and LED lights up here for the nav light, spotlight, trolling motor, ready to go. Look, you can see where that thing got me. It don't look like much, but that thing split wide open. It's filling up pretty quick though. Anyways, now that I got this stuff done, I need to finish the rest of this electrical. I'm ready to start turfing this boat and, you know, finishing this project up. Now the LED lights that he got, I showed you these earlier, and we have 6 of each of these lights. Come on now. This one right here is red, and this sucker is super bright. It's another black oak light, just like the black oak spotlight, and it is very bright. I was thinking of mounting one of these up here like this, but I just hooked it up to the battery and I set it up here, and I was back there, and it's blinding. I mean, he's not going to be able to run those lights while he's back here driving the boat, so it's kind of pointless. We do have 6 of those, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of them up here on the side of this trolling motor bracket. That way it can shine out onto the front deck. And then with the other 5 that I have left over, since they have to mount somewhere that has access behind it to run the wires through, we can't really put them like up on the side of the hull anywhere. So I'm going to mount them here and put one in this corner and one in this corner. Same thing over here. So he'll have 2 and 2. That'll be another 4. And then I'll probably put another one right here in the center shooting in. So this whole area in here will be illuminated red, and we'll have one up on the front deck. Now, if he wants to come back and add some strip lights later, that would probably be ideal. That's probably what he should do in the first place. But those lights are, they're pretty bright, man. I was surprised how bright they are. Then inside of the compartments, he's got 6 of these lights right here. I'm not too sure about these. These are warm white, and they are definitely not, damn mosquito about to fly my face. They're not as heavy duty as some of the lights I like to use, but you can see how this works. It's got one little hole right there, and it comes with a little tiny screw right there, and that's all that holds this thing in. You put that screw in, and then you just pull this back through, and it's got some little tabs on the side of it. See that? It snaps into place. So you just like press this in there, it snaps it in. Obviously, you got to drill a hole for these wires, probably like a 3/16 or 1/4 inch hole. When you drop it in, it's recessed, and that's all you see. But this isn't very bright. That's what he has, so that's what we're going to use. And we got 6 of those also. So we got 1 in this storage compartment, 2 for this storage compartment, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 in each compartment is all we're going to have. And it's not going to be bright enough to see up inside of this ride locker or even this big compartment up there, or really this one here. But this is the stuff he brought me, and this is what he wants to use. So that's what I'm going to put in here. So that's the plan. So once I get all that electrical done, then we can start putting this metal work back in here and doing some turf in here and put some decals on and wrapping this project up. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys back on the hyperlapse, and I'm going to run all this electrical in here, get this done, and we'll get on to something else. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got the entire rod locker turfed, all the metal and everything put in there. So look at this. This rod locker is 8 foot 2.5 inches. I mean, that's a pretty good size rod locker, especially considering this is only a 14-foot boat. It goes well up under that front deck. And we got the trolling motor cable wire back here behind this, obviously wrapped back around. Now that that's done, I can go ahead and start putting some of the sheet metal in here and the hatches and stuff. I did realize that he doesn't have a transducer. Both of the fish finders that he has over here in these boxes, I opened them all up and neither one of them come with a transducer. So we don't have to worry about running transducer cables. And we've got our wires pulled from the front back here to the side. That's where the electrical panel is going to be at. We're going to have his fuse block there. And then on the side, we're going to have a switch panel. So we got all the wires pulled that I need to pull. I'm trying to get this thing turfed. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of the hatches and stuff in here and install them permanently. And that will allow me to start figuring out where I'm going to turf this thing from. I'm going to go ahead and throw the batteries and stuff in here too. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I am going to go ahead and cut the hole out for his electrical panel, switch panel. And that will allow me just to have the hole already cut. So once I turf over it, I can just cut through and around the hole that's already existing. We got a lot to do, guys. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got all the hatches installed. Man, this thing really is starting to come together and look like something. This is a dope build, man. Look, we got a little cooler back here. This thing's sick. I did throw this plastic thing in here because I didn't have a piece of aluminum to fit in there, and this little drain plug right here, it fits in there perfectly, and it works out great. And the thing is solid, man. It's a sick little addition to the boat. Obviously, we went ahead and turfed inside the entire rod locker. That's done. We got all of our wires pulled up into this cutout for the switch panel, and the fuse panels are going inside that hatch. So all the wiring is done that I have to do in order to start turfing. Now, the rest of the wiring, I can come back and do that after the turf is installed. So we're about to start putting some turf in here. Now, the way I'm going to start this turf is pretty simple. If you've ever seen any of my turf videos before, the same way I always start my turf. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on the floor. We're going to come up the face and all the way back as far as we can go onto the deck. Now, in order to figure that out, these sheets are ortho deck, so they're like 47 inches wide. So we're going to measure from this point over here as far as we can get over. Hopefully it's going to be to this corner. Probably not. It's probably going to run short. That's okay. We're going to mark it wherever it comes out, about a ½ inch short. That way we can start in this corner. We can lay this up flat. We're going to draw a line with a square from the floor up the deck, and then all the way back up the face of the deck. And we're going to keep this first piece on this side straight up against this whole line we put in here and straight up against the floor. It's got to be a 90-degree corner in the first sheet you put in. Then after we tuck that in and lay it tight up against the sides, we'll come back, trim cut it off, and then we'll start with our second piece off of that. But having that first piece straight 90 degrees is going to allow us to come in with another piece that's cut straight 90 degrees, and then we can finish this whole front deck off. We're going to have a sheet and a half in the front deck. We might even have to come back with a small piece. It's going to be like a triangular piece up here, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. I'm going to put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm getting excited. We're finally going to put some turf in here. Let's get back to work. So I got two pieces up in the front deck. Now I'm going to start on the back deck, and then we're going to do these side panels and finish off the floor. But look, this is why I have trust issues with ortho deck. You see how dark this sheet is? This one's pretty dark too. Look at this one. This is the same exact colorway. Like, seriously? How is that the same colorway? I mean, this is almost like a grayish purple color. And look how much difference there is in the sheets. So let's say I try to line these two sheets up side by side. That's how that seam's going to look. I mean, crazy, right? These two sheets did pretty well. And the two sheets that are on the floor, besides this one, those are pretty close. We got one more sheet over here, and this one is kind of a half and half mix too. It's got a decent amount of this lighter grayish purple color in it. I mean, come on. There's no way that you can hide a seam between those two sheets and make it look unnoticeable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece to the side, because this half of this sheet is what I used to put on this piece over here, and it matched up pretty well. But for some reason, this half of it has these spots in it that are just super blank, and it's impossible to hide. We'll use this inside of some of the compartments, but these two sheets are going to work out well to finish off this back area, and maybe we'll be able to get the floor piece out of there too. I don't know. I can use that sheet over there for the floor and maybe put one of these on the side walls if I have to, because I still got to come back with a piece on this side and on that side over there. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take one of these sheets, cut it down, and we're gonna go ahead and start installing them in the back of this boat. Let's get back to work. All right, so the boat's looking dope. I mean, the turf in here is pretty sick, even though it's a little bit different colors. Whole front deck's a lot lighter than the back deck, but regardless, we got a lot of electrical done. I'm trying to wrap up the rest of this electrical in here so I can finish this thing up, throw some decals on here, and we can wrap this project up. But I wanted to test out this light just to see how bright it was. Now, it's pretty bright when you stare directly at it, but if you think this is an 8-foot rye locker and you only have light for about 20 inches, maybe 2 foot, I just don't like it. They're hard to use the way they install. They're not very bright. So I'm gonna make an executive decision. That's the only white light I put in here. I'm just gonna cut that wire and I'm gonna splice it into my new wires, like these right here. These LEDs are sweet. These are made for like trucks and stuff. Like, as you can see, I buy them in bulk. I've got like probably 4 packages of these. I think they come 100 in a package or something, but they're all daisy chained together. So you don't have to worry about connecting a bunch of stuff. And I could probably take a strip of 5 of these and I'll connect it here. I'll put one up underneath here, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even a little more. I might even run like 8 up inside of this rod locker just to give them some good light inside of there. And I'm not going to install any more of these ones that he brought me inside of here. I mean, they're lights. I don't know. I hope he's not mad about it because I don't like them. And I think he'll be a lot happier with the ones that I use because I have a lot more luck with them and I've been doing this for a while. So those lights right there are pretty cheap too. I'll try to leave a link in the description of the video if you are looking for some of these. But if you just search LED interior truck lights or van lights on Amazon or eBay, those will pop up. And they're strung together in like 20-piece strings. So you can definitely put a lot in there. I'm gonna do the same thing in here, wrap them around in here. And then in the front compartments, I'll do the same thing with that too. And I wanna show you guys his switch panel real quick. I got all the lights turned off in here. Let me turn the lights on. I'll show you the switch panel. All right, so this is the switch panel that he got. I mean, it's not a terrible switch panel, but the wiring on it, it's crap. And this is the fuse pan that I set up. This thing looks dope. I'm happy with it. I threw all the grommets and stuff in here and I painted it this light gray color. It looks really good. It matches inside of here. It kind of gives it a little offset with a light gray. I think it looks sick. And all my wires are going to come out of here and through the bottom through these grommets, and you won't see anything inside of here except for that fuse panel. It's going to look really nice. And the thing about using a fuse panel like this is that when you use something like this, it comes pre-wired with all this mumbo jumbo on it. Well, it doesn't really go together. This is meant to be used without a fuse panel because it's got these fuses inside of here. And the fuses that are inside of here, I can't even open this with one hand, but they're 15 amp fuses. Look, oh, fell out. 15 amp. So I guess that's fine if you're running all 3 pieces that are connected with this, because as you can see, this runs into the USB charger, and it also runs into both of these switches right here. Now, let's say, for instance, you're running LED light off of this one, LED light off of this one, and then you got this USB charger going. Well, you're drawing, you know, probably 5 amp here will be a fuse, 5 amp here and here. Well, if you're not running these two and you're just running this one and there's an issue, then it's going to burn up the wire coming out of here because it's not going to know that it needs to have 15 amps to trip it. So I don't like doing this. I mean, this is just stupid in my opinion, because a lot of the strip rail lights that you run, you need to have a 5 amp fuse on them. Majority of the stuff that you run in your boat runs off of a 5 amp fuse. All the LED lights, your bilge pump, pretty much everything except for like your graphs are going to run off a 5 amp fuse. So if you've got this thing hooked up 3 ways for 15 amp and everything's running at the same time, it probably works. But if you just want to run one switch for your strip lights and something happens, a wire gets crossed somewhere or pinched, it's going to burn the strip light up and start smoking. It might even catch the boat on fire. I don't know, but it will never trip this 15 amp breaker because it's a whole lot bigger than the 5 amp. Obviously, it's 3 times bigger. So this is crap. We're going to leave some of these wires on here. Now, these negative wires, those are probably fine. All the black ones we can leave because we're just going to run that into the negative side over here of the bus bar and the fuse panel. But majority of the rest of these wires are going to have to come off. I think these blue ones are actually just for the LED lights that are inside of the switches. Those can be run off of the same fuse, so I'll probably just leave those. But these yellow ones and these red ones, yeah, we're going to have to take all these off. I'm going to have to run a wire from each one of these into the fuse panel, and then that will allow whatever switch you have running into there basically to have its own fuse standalone instead of being tied in with 3 things. So a little bit of work, but if you're going to use one of these switch panels, your best bet is probably just to get one that's not pre-wired because it's a pain in the ass. Taking these things off of here with these little spade connectors, a lot of times they get jummed up on here and they're hard to get off and they end up breaking them off. They do got little push buttons on them. You got to hit the middle of this with like a needle screwdriver or some type of a sharp point to hit the release to pop these off so you don't pull the spade connectors out. But I'm going to put you guys on the hyperlapse. I'm going to go ahead and get hopefully the rest of this wiring in here because I would like to get the wiring done with the switch panel and stuff so I can permanently install this hatch over here with the fuse panel. And then I'm going to start working on putting his grass in here and his foot pedal tray and finishing this rig up. It's going to be a sweet little build though. Let's get this thing finished up, guys. Let's get back to work.
Got me down again. Hold up. I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.
All right, so I got the switch panel hooked up and all of the LEDs and all the wiring is done except for these two grass right here. Now, there's a lot of wires that went into this boat. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. It's been a long week. I'm trying to wrap this project up though. So right here we have the Garmin 106 Ultra SV1, and this is the SV2. Can't tell any difference in them. I mean, they look the same, they're the same size. The only difference is that this one's in a bag and this one's got the plastic on top of it. Either way, this one has some different features and we're gonna hook both these up right now. Now, the only thing I did not bring home with me were the screws to put this in here permanently, but it's not a big deal because we're not putting this in permanently yet anyways. But I did just go ahead and I drilled that hole and put that grommet into the foot pedal tray. I do this on all the builds. This is important. This allows you to pass wires up through here and into the foot pedal for the power, and also up into the graph bridge. So all our wires are gonna come through there. Now, it's not that much. It's only the 2 power cables. Each graph has its own power cable, and then one graph is gonna hook up to this cable right here that comes off of the trolling motor. That's basically for the built-in transducer. The other one is Bluetooth and should wirelessly connect to the trolling motor. So I'm pretty excited to see how that works. But I think what I'm gonna do is put the 1 on the top and the 2 on the bottom here. And that way he can take this 2 off and put it in his back once he gets another connection for it in a cradle. And he can access that one from back there. I just think it'll be better that way. So I'm gonna put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm gonna get all this stuff wired in, get this graph bridge permanently installed, and then I'm gonna circle back with you guys. I did get some decals. I'll show you all these real quick. They're pretty cool. I had my buddy cut me out a bunch of black decals, but it's white, so we needed something that I could put in here. I didn't have any more black decals. All I had was white ones, but these are all the black ones he gave me. These are basically just for the hatches, and I might put some on the outside of the boat. I'm not sure. And then he made these for me. Now, I've been working on a new Trick 10s logo, and this is not the final product, but since he made these, I guess I'm going to use them. I'm probably going to throw them on here. I did get another rendering since this, but he already cut these stickers, and I don't think I'm going to use the crown. I cut the crown out, but if you look at it, it's got the TT for Trick 10s, and then this center section kind of looks like a boat. You got the motor. It's like an overhead view of a John boat. That's what we were going for. Now, I cannot take credit for this because SB Fishing TV, Matt Streichel, he actually put me on to an image that was very similar to this. It didn't have this V connecting it at the bottom, but it did have the 2 T's and the crown. I'm getting rid of the crown. I've already got another design of this, like I said. But big shout outs to Matt Streichel because I think it's dope. I want to get some hats made with this and some beanies, and this is probably something I can get embroidered, but I'll show you guys the final logo. It's still being tweaked a little bit, but this is close. It's really close. So I'm gonna put these in here too. Anyways, I'm gonna put you guys back in the hyperlapse. I gotta pull some wires through here. I still have to hook up his seat base. We got a big seat base going in here and into that back hatch right there. So I'm gonna get this stuff done, and then we'll circle back and see what we got going on. Let's get back to work. Alright guys, the boat is looking sick. I got these logos on the side and I'm really digging this. I mean, it's old school. The pinstripes kind of set it off. We got the new Trick 10s logo over here. This is like a concept. We got the pinstripes, Trick 10s words, and then up here, This is a sticker I got from Sticker Phantom. Go check him out on Instagram. I'll leave his link in the description. He actually developed the other sticker that's my new logo I'm going to be using on a bunch of stuff, and it's pretty dope. But as you can see inside of the boat, this turf, Ortho Deck. Well, I've had some issues with Ortho Deck. This is one of the main issues because it's 6 millimeters, a little bit thicker than the C Deck and the Hydro Turf. And when you try to turn these sharp corners, I mean, you only have like 1.5 inches, maybe 1.75 inches right here. What happens is it doesn't want to stay stuck down. It wants to pull up. So I stick it down, go to work, come home, and it's sticking up in the air. So what I did, same thing I had to do on my personal boat with Poseidon. I had to pull a little bit of extra up, and I sprayed some 3M90 adhesive underneath of it, and then I push it back down. I'm going to leave this up here for the next 2 days, and it will probably stick. That's what it did with the last project where I had the same issue. But it is what it is, guys. I mean, Ortho Deck has a lot of colorways, but when it comes to turning corners, you might run into the same type of issue if you plan on doing your build like I do. Now, a lot of the guys that build these boats on YouTube, you can see that they stop these here and they have a seam across here. They don't wrap them, but it looks a whole lot better when you wrap it. Now, all 4 sides inside of here are wrapped. And obviously, it did perfectly fine in here. And this is only 1.5 inches, but who knows? It didn't work good back here, but a little bit of 3M90 and letting this sit for a couple days, that's all you got to do. Now that everything is pretty much done inside of here, I have one last thing to do. And it sucks because it wasn't really something I budgeted, and it wasn't something that I was planning on doing originally. But if you look at this trailer, this thing has got to have something done up here. I mean, it's sitting flush on the bunk boards underneath here and a roller. But up here, this roller right here, well, it's almost damn near flush with the nose of the bow, and it's supposed to be down here. It's supposed to sit right there above the winch eye. Now, if you guys saw earlier in this video, I had to weld this right up here. I welded that seam because it was split, and it probably split on his way here because he's never had this thing in the water. He's never even fished out of it, but it was sitting like in the middle of the nose and the winch eye here. So this thing has to go down. It has to drop and sit right above this winch eye. It has to suck in tight, and it still has to sit flush on this roller and the bunks down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these nuts right here and take this U-bolt out. And then I'm going to cut all the way through this weld. I'm going to cut back up at a V. I'm going to leave the backside welded. That way I can push this forward, lean it back towards the boat until I get to the correct angle to where this roller is going to sit close to hitting right here on top of this winch eye. So I'm going to put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm going to get this stuff going, and then we'll circle back. Let's get back to work. Floor drain, last piece of the puzzle, guys. I'm gonna get behind the camera. Let's check this thing out. Well, here she is. The rig is completed. This thing turned out sick, man. A lot of work, but it's done. I really like all the electronics in here. I mean, if you guys have been following the channel, you know that I'm a Garmin guy, and this setup right here, well, this is what really makes it for me. I'm gonna show you guys the whole boat, give you a quick walkthrough. Decals turned out pretty cool. I did not get any decals made for the exterior. These are decals I had left over because pretty much the paint job and decals and everything that you see on the outside of the boat was just stuff that I did because I wanted to, and it needed to be done, and kind of wasn't into the budget. But either way, thing turned out sick, man. I'm happy with it. The first thing I want to show you guys is the switch panel over here. So you can see what we got going on. All right, so he wanted the switch panel on the side, and up in the compartment where I would normally put it, we just got the fuse panel. I gotta put the cover on that, still got that over there, but pretty dope. And the way this fuse panel works, it's got a switch over here, and that basically just controls the power for the LEDs that are in these switches and stuff, because I didn't want to have it to where they're always on, so he can turn those off. If not, they would just stay on all the time. But the switch panel is pretty cool. Now this first switch, this is for his spotlight up on the front. This thing is hella bright. I was looking through some of the paperwork, and this black oak LED light up here was $305. I was shocked because you can buy a 6-inch LED light off of Amazon for like 20 bucks. I don't know if this thing is worth $305. It's pretty freaking bright though. I just couldn't believe it, man. Either way, shout out to you, Black Oak, because you guys are making a killing if you're selling them things for 300 bucks. Second switch, nav lights. Let's turn the spotlight off. Nav lights are pretty simple. They're cut and dry. We put the strip lights up here, port and starboard. And then in the back here, he's got a spot where he can put a pole light in for his anchor light right here. Third switch is the compartment LEDs. Now that's pretty cool. These LEDs that I put in here are way better and way brighter than the ones that he was originally thinking about putting in here. And I'm glad that I changed them up because it really makes a humongous difference. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to see in here with the lights he had. Thing looks super clean, dude. I still gotta tighten up some of these zip ties in here, but it's pretty much done. This is the cooler that we added in. Thing turned out dope. It's got a nice size cooler here, and the reality of it is that he could come back and make this into a live well if he wanted to, because there's room from this cooler back where you could add a pump or two in here and attach your fittings. It's pretty cool. On to the coolest part of the boat, the rod locker. This thing's sick. Now, I did put this on the gas piston, and if he doesn't like that, all he's got to do is pop this off, and he doesn't have to use it. And that will allow the rod locker hatch to lay on the side of the boat. The only reason I didn't just leave it like that is because this handle hits the side. Not really a huge deal, but it does keep it open, and it looks dope. We put all of our drain tubes in here. Every hatch has a drain tube that runs down. That way his water can funnel out and back where the bilge pump's at. Got another storage compartment right here on a gas piston. Behind that, we've got this big storage compartment. There's a lot of room inside of here. He also has access up into this front compartment right here. So, got a lot of storage inside of there. Thing turned out really sick. And we'll walk around and show you guys the other side of this hatch over here. Now, you saw I was putting some of these Trick 10s logos on here. My buddy cut these out of vinyl. This is the new official secondary logo. I think it's dope. Pretty cool looking. That was made by Sticker Phantom. Got some of those stickers. Gonna be giving away some of those with hatch orders and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in getting some hatches, let me know. Real quick, I want to show you guys this. So this is a little bit different. Now, normally I would have made this panel right here to where it could suck all the way over tight on the side, but I got some wires passed through here, and I did this to where this is still removable. He's got screws in here. You can see there's screw heads in there, and there's one up top, both sides. So there's 4 screws in here, but this thing can be removed and he can access those wires. I made it as like one piece right here and turfed it. Kind of don't like the way this sticks up here, but I didn't want to take it back too far because he's got his drain tube right here. And the drain tube still has access to run down there to the bottom of the boat. I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. This is a humongous hatch. I mean, this is probably going to have all this tackle and stuff like that in here. I don't know. Maybe he'll put his tackle inside of this one. He's got room up in there to fit some life jackets and stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool, though. This thing is removable, though. It can be pulled out, and you can access those wires if you need to get up in there. So it makes life easy. Pretty dope. There's even a drain tube inside of this hatch over here. Got a hose on that running down to the bottom. There's a lithium battery underneath there. It's hooked up on the battery tender. I did hook up the battery tender and plug it in. All of them light up. They're working. So good news. Now we've got another switch in here. That's for our red lights. These are the black oak red lights that he wanted to put in here. And these things are bright. I mean, I'm not really against them. I think they're pretty cool. They turned out dope. The way I laid them out, you got the two back here. You got two here and one here. And then we've got one up here, up on the side of the trolling motor. I mean, it lights up the boat pretty good. I was pretty impressed with them. I mean, normally I'd run strip lights on it, but for what they are, they're pretty dope. I did put a drain plate inside of here. Got the Trick 10s logo on it. That's pretty cool. I got some of these that I'm going to be selling soon too. I actually just shipped one of these out yesterday, and I had it powder coated black over the stainless. I like the stainless look. And another thing I did is I went with these chrome handles. Now originally I put the black ones in here, but I think the chrome ones look way better, especially with these big chrome pieces. And we got the chrome piece over here for his nav light. I just think they look dope. Nobody really likes them, but I like them. And we got chrome in here everywhere, so I think it matches pretty good. Now, up here on the front deck, let's take a look at this thing. This turned out amazing. I mean, this is really what sells it for me right here. I'm a Garmin guy, and with the two 106s on my dual graph bridge, with the Garmin trolling motor, I could fish this rig. I mean, regardless of anything else that's in here, if I had this stuff right here, I could fish. Now, I'd like to have the live scope. He's probably going to upgrade and get the live scope in here eventually. But this stuff up here looks sick. And even though that crappy Tiny Boat Nation graph bridge was in here, it came with these pieces that mount onto the side of their graph bridge. Well, they were bent, overbent, so that this could sit straight because the sides of theirs kicks at an angle. But I went ahead and flattened them, and I mounted them up here. And I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, these are very simple. I'm going to start making some of these too and selling these. I'll make some of these for the VersaTrack, for the trackers too. But he's got a plier holder, cup holder. Cut and dry. Turned out sick. Turf on this boat was a little bit of a pain in the ass to install just because it's thicker. But as you can see, it's sticking on the spots I showed you earlier where I was having issues with. Hopefully it'll stay. It should be all right. I left it up there for 2 days and took it off about 3 hours ago. Still hasn't come off yet, so it should be good to go, man. I'm pumped this thing is done. All the hatches being powder coated white just makes it look so clean. Got the logos in there. And look, you want to see the difference in having these compartment lights on and off? Look at that. Now, granted, I have 15 LEDs on my ceiling. It's super bright in here, but it's a pretty big difference in having these off and on. I mean, crazy difference. Allows you to see a whole lot more. Turned out really sick, though. These Lifetime batteries, these things are on sale. It seems like all of the lithium batteries, aftermarket ones, are on sale. So if you guys are looking to get some batteries, you can get some pretty cheap. This thing, I got it set up. I hooked them all up onto the lithium battery section for the settings on them, and all of them fully charged. These batteries, taking mine now, they sat for a year when he originally took this boat to the other guy who was going to build it, and they're still good, and they're still under warranty. They got a 5-year warranty on them. Check this out. I did have to do some alterations to the trailer. It's a little different, but it turned out all right. As you saw earlier in the video, I was cutting through this because this thing was kicked way back at an angle, which put this roller way up in the air above the front of the boat almost even. So I took it back even farther than straight up and down as a 90, a little bit farther forward. It's not going to hurt anything. I welded this thing solid all the way around here. I even sprayed it with some cold galvanized paint. Just got some dust on it and stuff. But this thing right here, I just hammered it over. You see how it's bent more? Hammered it over, welded it up here. And it is sturdy, man. I mean, that's a big difference. You can see where it was welded way up here when it was kicked back. Hammered it down, welded it there. But now this allows the boat to trailer the way it needs to trailer. You can see how that winch eye is sitting right up against the roller. I had to adjust this roller underneath the boat. I pulled it forward about 8 inches and kicked it at a different angle, but it's sitting perfectly level. If you were to take these bolts out of here, these U-bolts, and pull this out, this whole front winch eye would still sit in the same place. And that's what you want. You want your boat to be riding on the trailer and be connected here as a tie down. You don't want this to have to hold the weight of the boat. That's where you run into issues. That's why you had this split in here. And it's just one of those things. You got to do things the right way. If you don't have your boat sitting on the trailer the right way and your weight distributed between your bunks, this roller, and this eye up here, then you're going to end up with issues. But boat turned out sick, man. I'm pumped this project's done. I got a lot of crazy stuff coming down the pipeline for you guys. The Yen 10, it's got to be done next. So I'm going to start filming on that tomorrow and hopefully get that thing wrapped up soon. This bilge pump is a little different. Turned out sick though. I did have enough turf left to throw some turf in here. Like I said, ortho deck. Look at the differences in this. This is the same sheets I ordered. And I mean, my God, you can literally see a dramatic difference in there between those two sheets. So I'm not going to be ordering any more ortho deck. I'm sorry. I like their colors, but just a pain in the ass, man. You're going to order something, it's got to be right. This is the third time they've got me, and I'm not going to go down that road again. Anyways, guys, this rig is looking sick. I hope the customer likes it because I put a lot of work and a lot of love into this thing. I'm going to get his live reaction when he comes to pick it up next week, and hopefully he'll be happy with it. All right, guys, so another notch under the belt, another build done. This thing turned out sick. Now, I was going to get some stickers packages for it and name it, but I just didn't have it in the budget, man. I went well above and beyond with all the trailer work and painting and stuff that I did, and I just didn't really know if he was going to be happy with something like that. So here it is. It's a Trig 10. It's dope. It's done. We got some other cool projects that we're about to start working on, start dropping videos for you guys. Let me know what you think about this boat. Now, I know that this video is long as crap. It's well over an hour. I haven't even edited it all at the point that I'm recording this, obviously, but I'm at like an hour and a half, maybe hour and 45 minutes worth of footage. I'm probably going to cut that down 20 minutes. So the video is well over an hour. This was a trial run to see what you guys think about it. Now, I could have just done the entire build start to finish without the metal work being done, but I knew it was gonna be a lot. So if you guys like this type of stuff with the longer videos, I can do that. I like to drop videos once, twice a week because it kind of keeps you guys involved, where you got, you know, some progress videos to see where we're at and you know what's going on. But in the same sense, I've seen other guys that drop videos that are really long and show the entire project start to finish, and those do pretty well on YouTube. So I would love to hear feedback from you guys on what you think about the video length, and if you want to see the whole video of the entire build, or you want to see it chopped up into a series build. Either way, it is what it is. It just means that I drop videos, you know, once every 2 weeks or 2 a week. I do appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button, leave a comment. I really want to know what you guys think about this build. This thing's different. It's a riveted hull. It's 1448 Monarch. This thing's old as crap. It's probably older than most of you guys, but this rig's still going to be sick. This thing is about to go to Jersey. It's got a long haul to get there. We fixed this trailer up and you should have no issues with it. I can't wait to get some pictures and hear some feedback. Once he gets a chance to fish out of this thing, it's going to be dope. Last but not least, if you guys want to help me out, go cop some of my merch. It's on trick10s.net. Now, I am going to be dropping some more new products up there. I got some new clothing lines. You saw the new logo. I'm trying to get some beanies made, some hats. I'm definitely going to do some more t-shirts, some sweatshirts. We got stuff coming up, guys, so make sure you go check out the website. If you want any metal work done, you can check out all of my stuff that I have on trick10sjombos.com. Now, I haven't updated the website in a while, so I sell a lot of stuff. If you guys really just want to order something that you don't see, or you want me to make something custom for you, just reach out to me. Send me an email at professionalwelding@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to help you guys out. You know what time it is. Let's get back to work.